Last week, I discussed a viewer suggestion about acquiring equipment when faced with a budget and overwhelming data and opinions online. That viewer also said this: wanting to go solo with a partner who does not share the love of outdoors and feels apprehensive about your security. Many of us face this situation, including myself. It's not that my wife hates the outdoors. It's just that her idea of enjoying it doesn't include sweating, bugs, and sleeping out overnight. So this applies to anyone concerned about your well-being when you're hiking solo, such as a spouse or an adult child. Since I retired, I've hiked about 2,500 miles, most of them solo. I rely on a cell phone and a Garmin inReach mini satellite tracker to partially address this concern. No matter what, the partner left behind will always be anxious, and the best we can do is mitigate that anxiety as much as possible. I talked about the use of the satellite tracker for emergency situations in this video here. Today, I'm going to talk about the more frequent situation, when you're out hiking and things are proceeding normally. Normal doesn't lessen the stress back home if you're out of touch for long periods and all is well can't be verified easily. The current inReach Mini model for sale is the Mini 3, which costs about $400 at the time of this recording. That's a serious expense for most of us, and it can't be taken lightly. There are other brands such as Zoleo and Spot that I've never used, so I can't comment on them from experience. If you use them, please let us know in the comments how well they work for you and what their advantages and disadvantages are. That'll be far more informative than having me regurgitate information from a website for a product I've never used. It's important to understand how a tracker helps so you can then look at the options with a better understanding. Please keep in mind that my emphasis is on a partner's comfort with your hiking situation. The price tag is just the start. Using it requires a subscription plan, renewable monthly, which includes various functions. The ones I use are tracking and messaging, with the SOS always an unpleasant possibility. There are different plans with different limitations for tracking frequency and messages. For any tracker, you'll need to look at the plans to see which one best fits your volume of hiking. I use the $50 plan. Probably the $15 or $30 plans will meet most hikers' needs. There's even an $8 plan, but it's more a pay extra as you go for tracking and messages. During months I'm not hiking, I suspend the subscription until I start up again the next spring. I don't yet use the full capabilities of my tracker. I like to keep things simple, so I learn what works for me, and I slowly add capabilities to my knowledge base. When I was on the John Muir Trail with my college roommate Dave, we learned how to communicate from my device to his in case we got separated. Since I had the basic tracking and messaging figured out, it was easy to add that. I get overwhelmed if too much information comes my way all at once. I need to get the basics down first. Think of your hiking as a partnership. You're in it together and you both need to be comfortable with the concept and the tools. Your partner is nervous when you're out hiking solo and you need to respect that. You already can text and call each other on your phone, so when you're in an area with service, just use that to communicate. You'll still use the tracker for the location service, and an app like Far Out is great for you as the hiker, but it won't tell anyone else where you are. My wife can log into my Garmin account at home to see where I am, at least the last time the tracker reported in. I generally use 10-minute tracking. Some hikers use 4-hour tracking. The shorter the interval, the faster the device's battery will run down. On my most recent hike with 10-minute tracking, it drained 15 to 20% each day. For about 25 days of hiking, I had to fully recharge 5 times. In my experience, a full recharge of the tracker is equal to about 1/5 of what it takes to charge my phone. If I'm out of cell range, I can text through the tracker. It has its own associated phone number, and it gets confusing if we switch from phone to tracker texting because then our conversations get sliced up between 2 different sources. From that online account, my wife can do 2 things besides look at my last location. She can text me directly from the website, and she can request a location response from the tracker. Now, this is most useful when you're trying to preserve battery with a 4-hour tracking, but your partner needs to see your current location from time to time. Regardless of what you do, have a practice session under less stressful conditions than when you're out in the backcountry. Start at home to verify basic connectivity. Then go to a local park or even just walk around the neighborhood if you live in an urban area. Be sure that the capabilities you need work and you both know how to use them. For me and my wife, it includes verifying these. First, that Garmin's EarthMate application is on my phone and connects to the tracker by way of Bluetooth. That makes texting a lot easier. Sending and reading text with this tracker alone is incredibly tedious and not something that you could do easily under pressure. It can also supplement any GPS-based application, like Far Out, that you're using to navigate. The EarthMate map shows many trails, and it will draw your path more accurately between location reports. I used this recently when I found an unmarked trail at the local state reservation and I wanted to map it out like I show here, but that's kind of a one-off use. Second, that the tracker passes the built-in test capability. Before any major trip, ensure the device is working and the subscription is active by running the test service utility. There's nothing worse than getting out on the trail only to realize that the tracker isn't tracking or your subscription is expired. Third, that the online account can see where the tracker is. Be sure that the partner back home knows how to find you and zoom in on the map to your location. For example, my son was tracking me on one of my hikes and noticed that I was off the trail. The location information was accurate because I had taken a dirt road on the advice of a local trail ranger where part of the trail was closed. My son was worried that I had accidentally strayed off trail. Fourth, that the tracker sends texts. This tracker has preset basic messages that you can use for quick status updates. On some plans, these don't count against your quota of text messages. I don't bother with those. We have a protocol. If I initiate a conversation, my wife confirms receipt, so I'll know it went through, and I do the same if she initiates it. One such handshake is enough to know that the messages are working. Fifth, that the tracker receives texts. Testing will give you an idea of message response times. Messages through the tracker and satellite system are not as quick as normal texting, and to avoid panic, you both need to understand what's a reasonable delay. Sixth, that the tracker reports location. Use the shortest tracking interval your subscription allows, which will be less frustrating while you're testing it. Under tree cover like the green tunnel of the Appalachian Trail, the tracker can be less effective and loses satellite lock occasionally. At shorter intervals, this will be less disruptive. Use the shorter interval during testing even if you intend to use longer intervals while hiking. This is less of a problem in more open areas. On my JMT hike with over 1,500 location reports, there were only 2 or 3 gaps of a single ping in the data that couldn't be attributed to operator error, which I'll talk about in a moment. Finally, that the tracker reports location on request. Do a very controlled and timed location check through the online account. Coordinate when to do it through phone or text messaging. Try for a point in the middle of the tracking interval so it'll be easier to see the extra report. Here are a couple other tips. There's a separate online account available called MapShare that your friends can use without giving them your full access to your management account. They can watch your position and text you. When I summited Mount Katahdin in 2024, completing the Appalachian Trail, I had congratulatory messages from both my wife and a lifelong friend within 5 minutes of my arriving. I also set my watch to sound an alarm every morning at 7:30. This reminds me to start the tracker. With so many things to do breaking camp, it's easy to forget to start it. Whether I'm ready to go or not, I just start the tracker when the alarm goes off. Then the number of wasted location reports is minor, and it sometimes takes a few minutes to gain a lock on the satellites anyway. Turning on the tracker and starting tracking are separate operations unless you have it set for auto start. I missed starting the tracking one morning on my recent hike even though the tracker was powered. I noticed about an hour later, but my perfect JMT track has a 1-hour hole in it. Trackers don't solve everything, nor do they make you totally safe. They can't protect you from physical dangers. Even the SOS capability is of little use if you're unable to use it, like if you're unconscious after a bad fall. Such risks have always been part of hiking, and a tracker helps, but doesn't eliminate them. I think our reviewers said it best. One can stay at home to be safe, but even there one can get attacked, and deciding to live life following one's passion to heal is a better option than regrets of sitting at home while life passes by. From what I can tell from the other comments and references, they're probably located in one of the eastern provinces of Canada. That's a beautiful area that I'd feel privileged to hike in, and I can see why they wouldn't want to miss out on it. If you found this information useful, please like, share, subscribe, and comment on this or other topics you'd like me to cover. And if you haven't seen this video, please take a look at it now. Thanks for watching.